for Shane Warne. And he's done it.
We would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the lands on which we meet today and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. We extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people listening in.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Aussies Abroad on the B Sample Sports Network. This week, guys, we are joined by racing royalty in Mr. Dave Stanley. Mate, thank you very much for coming on the show.
No drama. Not about royalty, mate. That's a bit far, but no, pleasure to be here, Chris, mate. I've seen a bit of your work from the socials, and no, it's exciting, mate. It's a good time of the year, and it's good to be talking some horses.
Yeah, sure is, mate. Look, you've been around the scene for a number of years now, but you're still a young fellow. Tell us how you sort of got started with horse racing.
Mate, my grandfather grew up in Brizzy, and granddad loved the ponies and loved going to the local and having a few jars. So as a youngster, I remember for the first, granddad put Foxtel on, when Foxtel first came into homes, and all it was on was Sky Racing. And I just remember as this young kid, you'd lob there after school, and the races would be on, and there was just all this stuff happening and all this sort of lingo, and he loved it, and obviously I loved him. So naturally, I just wanted to learn everything about it to impress him, and then. He obviously, he liked that because out of all the grandkids, I was sort of the only one that loved the ponies. Beautiful. Or had an interest.
And you were the favourite.
We go to the races together. Yeah. He'd take me if we went away on like a family holiday. We'd end up at the bowling club, and he'd prop me up. He'd prop me up at the bar with the. He'd be having the bets, and he'd have the beers. And he'd say, "Righto, son, I'll get you, a bowl of chips, and double sauce. You sit there."
Beautiful.
And that was pretty much it, mate. That was how I started. And just from then going to the races with him, and then the more you learn about something, the
more you love it.
It's just I absolutely love it, mate. And all three codes too, not just gallops. Like I love the dogs and I love harness as well. So
beautiful. Yeah. Very good. Some of the best days I've had here in the ACT are at the dog track here. Unfortunately, there's no more dogs here, but I've had some great experiences down there. So hopefully that comes back again soon. So I love it. It's great fun. Yeah. Mate, I first came across you with your work on the Big Sports Breakfast. Tell us about the time with TK, and I think Slats was on at that time too.
Yeah, mate. So I've been working at Sky for 7 years now. So that's a funny story in itself. So I actually won a competition to be at Sky. I was in Brisbane, and I worked for a beer company. I was a beer rep. And then obviously being in and out of tabs, I saw an ad on the TV. They were having a star search competition, and I sent through a video and got selected. And my first job was pretty much making the coffees for Tony Brassel and getting the sandwiches for Freeman. So started doing that. And then I was doing overnight sort of stuff and a lot of, French trots and Swedish this and that. And I'm going, I don't know what was going on.
This is good.
And then an opportunity came up to do some Big Sports Breakfast, the odds. I think at the time, Munsey might have been doing it, or Jared Middleton might have been doing it, and they had something else to do. And they said, righto, we'll get you to do it, Dave, before one of your shifts. And I just started doing it and loved it and loved working with TK and Slats and got to do some cool stuff. And then obviously Laurie came aboard. And then obviously then TK left, and then they said, righto, Dave, we don't have anyone at the moment, so you're going to do that with Laurie. So it was just kind of this real roller coaster, mate, to what it is now.
I've been listening to that show, I reckon, for about 10 years now, and I still listen religiously every day. So it's great. I love it. Mate, you've taken over as host of Racing HQ from the great Andrew Bensley. How are you feeling those big shoes? How are you coping with this, mate?
Mate, you'll never, ever fill them, ever. You can't... is like a champion racehorse. It's like when someone trains a champion racehorse and that horse then leaves the stable, to replace it. You'll never quite replace him. He's the main newsman when it comes to racing in the country. I think the biggest difference with myself and Andrew, which I really wanted to stress early, was I'm not like Andrew, where I'm not the news hound. Andrew, he wants to break the news and get all the scoops and everything like that. Whereas, and you notice on the show, I've got, Ray Thomas, Chris Roots, I've got Richard Kelly, I've got those sort of other journos who are out there doing that. They come on and they'll break that news. My forte is probably acting like an idiot and trying to have some fun with it. My goal is that, yourself, anyone listening out there, will have it on in the car or in the workshop or whatever they might be doing. And not only will they be informed with, what to have a bet on this weekend, but they'll also have a laugh along the way and realise that, there's a lot of serious stuff in the world and life's just too short.
Exactly right. That's good. Now, mate, before we talk about Derby Day, I am a fan of the picnic races. I love a good picnic race, mate. Carrathul is one of my favourites. If you haven't gone, get out to Carrathul. I can't remember what month it's on, but the Mudgee Cup too. Some of those smaller events, they draw the locals in. Some of these towns, that's the only thing they have every year. Do you have a favourite picnic race?
Oh, mate. To be honest with you, so you mentioned Mudgee. Mudgee's very. I'll always have a love of Mudgee. It's a beautiful part of the world. Orange is another great place that I love going to. But then, some of those other country cups, like we'll go up to Tamworth, we'll go up to Coffs Harbour, which is outstanding, Port Macquarie, Wagga's huge, that 2-day carnival. On my bucket list, I really want to get to Albury.
Oh, yeah, nice.
And sort of down that south part. I was meant to do a lot of that sort of travelling recently, but obviously with COVID, that threw a spanner in the works.
Yeah.
But, it's funny, to be honest with you, mate, and I've said this on air before, it's great to go to the Everest and it's great to go to Royal Randwick, but mate, get me to a country track.
I'm with you, mate. Yeah,
it's there's something about it.
There's stuff that happens out there that we don't talk about, and we can't mention it on this show. Okay. That's good. I'm in a punters group with two friends of mine. Shout out to Trent and Pud. You guys know who you are. I hope you are taking notes. Mate, we've got some huge things coming up this weekend. It's the biggest week of racing in this country. We've got the Derby on Saturday, my favourite day of the year. I cannot wait. I'll be on the couch all day. You've got the Golden Eagle in Sydney and the Cup on Tuesday. Can you give us a tip first for the Golden Eagle?
All right, Golden Eagle. I tell you what, out of all the races, I'm just going to pull up my phone here. Yeah. So out of all the races for the spring, I reckon this one will be the race of the spring. And the only reason I say that is because for mine, it's the only race this spring that's going to have so many different form lines from all across the country. And also you've got those really good international horses. And when we talk about those international horses, I mean, we're used to sort of talking about them around Melbourne Cups and Cox Plates and whatnot like that, and obviously when they've come out for the Queen Elizabeth. But these international horses that are here for this Golden Eagle, they're pretty good, and they're going to be ones that that are going to pop up all the time. So there's a horse from the internationals. There's a horse called Maximal on Saturday, which goes around. Now it's drawn the car park, so Alicia Collar takes the right. She could be cast from the gate. If she can get some luck, I think it'll run a big race, Maximal. So in the Golden Eagle, number 13, the other horse that I'm warming to is this Queensland horse, Apache Chase. So I'm going to give him two in the Golden Eagle. Yeah, because the jockey Jim Byrne, he's coming down. He'll have to have 14 days quarantine going back. So will the trainer Desley. Desley's actually going to drive the horse down herself in the truck with us, I think one of our colleagues on Thursday, Arvo. It's an on-speed runner. It'll, it's got, it's been there around with the private eyes and etc. So Apache Chase and Maximal are my two in the Golden Eagle, mate. But that's just such a ripping race.
It's going to be huge, mate. Look, I'm very surprised they're sort of in Sydney, they're trying to do what they can to match those big races in Melbourne. So the last couple of years, they've really upped their game. So this is going to be a huge race on Saturday, so we cannot wait. But of course, we're here for my favourite day of the year, Derby Day, mate. I've been to 3 or 4 Bucks nights down there at Derby Day, and it's just been incredible. So every year I look forward to this day. Can you give us a tip for the Victoria Derby, mate? I've been doing my ask the last couple of weeks, and I need something because everyone's starting to laugh at me. So,
mate, no, we'll try and get your plums back. Don't worry. Okay, I reckon. You know what? I really like a horse called Tutakaka in the Derby. It'll run all day. It was a good winner in the Geelong Classic the other day. Tony Pike trains. He's from New Zealand, but the big one for mine's got J-Mac on board. Mate, he's a freak, as we know.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. And I mean, like, it's drawn 12. I just the thing with this Derby is a lot of them are going to be coming up for air at the 2000. Like, they'll be going, shit.
It's a little race.
Whereas this horse, I think it'll be strong too long. Like, it was strong the other day over 2200. And I know it only beat character and maybe the time wasn't that flash, but I just reckon it'll keep running. So that's my tip, mate. Tutakaka, $8.50. Have something on in the Derby. It is a good day. I like what you said too about, how Sydney's trying to match it. And I think it's good. Like, there is all that stuff about, it should be this, should be that. Mate, at the end of the day, you go to a TAB, or your pub or wherever you are, if you can't be there. If you've got, like, say, a good sporting event, another good sporting event, another good sporting event, the pub will be packed. You'll be watching all day and good. It's the same with the races. If you've got good racing on all over the country, people will stay, people will punt, people will get on the sauce. It's
exactly.
You can't beat it.
It's good. So where will we find you this weekend? Are you in Sydney or are you in Melbourne?
No, I'm in Sydney. Mate. They're actually sending me, it's a good gig. They're sending me to a pub. Up in
how's that?
Pub in Sydney, and they're going to send some cameras, and I'm going to be with Luke Marlowe, and we'll be broadcasting from the pub, so you'll actually be able to watch that coverage via the Tab app. It could be a bit loose, so
it'll be great.
I don't think they really understand. Like, when we were sort of talking about doing it, we actually couldn't believe they were agreeing to it. So I don't think they realised what they got themselves into.
How did you score that gig, mate? That's fantastic.
That's what I mean. So that's what I mean. We sort of pitched it to them, and they said, "Yeah, let's do it." And Luke and I looked at each other and went, "Are they
serious?" This is great. All right, just before we get going, mate, because I know you've got 15,000 things on this week. Can you give us a tip for the Melbourne Cup? I know it's the race that stops the nation, and every man and his dog is after a winner, and usually they lose. So have you got something for us for the Cup?
Mate, you know what? I'd love to give you a big roughie, but I just think this favourite will win. I mean, it's a win in the Caulfield Cup. I've never seen anything like it, and I'm only young, and we hear you always used to hear about the oldies say, Might and Power and this and that.
Always,
mate, it was just enormous. There is one at odds, Sir Lucan. Okay, I've been doing a bit of reading about it. Just it's been popping up here and there. I think Glenn Boss is going to ride it. It's for Gay Waterhouse. She trains it, but it's a half. It's not a half brother. It's a full brother to Sir Dragonet, who unfortunately passed away the other day. But it's the same dad, same mum, so full brother, and owned by the big wealthy blokes down there in Melbourne. So they bought it again, gave it to Gay and Adrian, and it could be a bit of a smoky Sir Lucan, but I just don't know how they're going to beat the fate, which is good, It
could be hard.
Mate, it's an Aussie horse. It was bred here. Peter Moody, what he's been through, he's from Toowoomba. It's from Toowoomba. He's not from Toowoomba, but he's from Western Queensland. The horse is from Toowoomba. Mate, it's just a good story around it, incentivised.
Very nice. Look, mate, the final thing we have for you on the show, do you keep your tomato sauce in the cupboard or in the fridge? Now, I saw this question. Before
I answer this, though, why do you ask about the tomato sauce?
It started a couple of years back, and I didn't realize at the time, but it divides friendships. It's been split down the line. I think on this show we've had 20 guests now, and it's literally even still. And so half of my friends are fridge and half a cupboard, but there is only one correct answer, mate. What do you got for me?
Well, mate, if this is funny you asked this, so I'm fridge.
So am I. That is the correct answer.
So tomato sauce meat, but my missus is cupboard. So it absolutely does my bloody head in.
Beautiful.
We'll use it.
Yeah.
because she'll put it back in the cupboard.
No.
Mate, it says on the label refrigerate
That's
after
what we
opening.
said too, mate.
It says on the label. So, I mean, fuck.
We say
you
the
know.
same thing. Exactly.
Anyway, but no,
terrible.
fridge for me, mate.
Beautiful.
Fridge.
Very nice. Very nice. Look, mate, thank you
And
very
plus
much.
Too,
Sorry?
I was going to say, well,
Yeah.
now you got me thinking. Plus, if you have like, your maggot bag, if you've got a
Yeah.
pie and a bit of cold sauce on top,
Goes well.
because how bad is it? I'll tell you another thing. If you do you with the pie, now this is controversial.
Yeah.
Do you put the sauce on top, or do you inject the nozzle into the pie?
I inject a bit in first and then on top. Yes.
That's what I do.
Need a bit of that.
Especially if it's cold. If it's
Yeah.
cold, then
Helps
when
the
you
pie.
bite in, you don't burn the roof of your mouth.
A man after my own heart. Fantastic. That is beautiful. Very nice. Mate, I know you've got heaps on this week, so thank you very much for coming on the show. We'll put your Twitter handle up on the screen, DavyStan1 at Twitter. Hop on and follow him, guys. He's on there all the time, and find him on Racing HQ all this week and for the foreseeable future. Big thanks, mate. Cheers.
Cheers, mate.